Okay, well, we had over 100 people registered. We have 35 logged in, but in the interest of time, we'll get started. I'd like to thank everybody for participating in this Q&A session tonight. We'd like to go over a few of the parameters of this webinar tonight. As it says there, make sure you use the Q&A feature to submit questions. We may not get to them if you submit them through chat, but we will try. And if Facebook Live, if you submit those, again, they will be later in the queue as we answer the questions. And just a reminder, our website, where all the information about our Return to Learn plan can be found, and we update that regularly. So hopefully you found that a useful resource. So as we get started here, I'd like our panel to introduce themselves. I'm Paul Frigo, the Superintendent, Decatur Public Schools. Maria?
Good evening, everyone. I am Maria Robertson, Community Engagement Director.
Denise?
Hi, everybody. I am Denise Swarthout. I'm the Chief Communications Officer for DPS.
Jeff?
Jeff Dace, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning.
And Leslie?
I am Leslie Risby, Innovative Programs Coordinator for DPS.
I think we've got a couple questions already rolling in the Q&A. So as Dr. Frigo said, be sure you submit your questions there and we'll get rolling through them.
All right, I'll start with the question about Heartland Tech, the engineering program. The person's been told they'll be going in person, and they've also been told they're going virtual. You need to work with your high school administrator. There's a plan to have them be in person on a limited basis out at Heartland Tech, but it depends on the specific program your student is in. So contact your high school administrator about Heartland Tech. There's several questions, Maurice, on here about passwords, how to unlock them, how to get them. Can you help us introduce yourself, Maurice, and then help us with the password questions?
Sure can. We're not live now, are we?
Yes, we are. That's why I had you introduce yourself.
All right, I'm Maurice Payne, Director of IT. Just get back to my office. All right, good to be here. But I'll be glad to answer any questions.
One question is, I need a passcode for my son to unlock it. I don't know what the passcode is. How might they get their passcode?
The default passcode is their student ID. Unless they change it at some point, they do have the option to change it. But we set it to the default of the student ID. If they still cannot get in, that's not something we can fix remotely. We have to have the iPad brought back so we can hook it up to our computer and clear that out.
And then how about their Skyward password? Who do they talk to get that?
I believe I'm not sure, that's family access. I'm not sure who they go to. I'll have to defer that to maybe Denise or Maria.
I can take that question. For anyone that does not know their Skyward password, contact your school office and they should be able to assist you. You were issued the system-generated password at the beginning of last year that was mailed to you. If you have not changed that password, they will be able to tell you what that is. If you did change the password since logging in, the school office will not be able to tell you specifically what that password is, but if they can confirm your username, and then you can use the forgot password feature on Skyward. It will send you an email that's on file to retrieve and reset your password. If you do not have access to that email box that is listed on file for your student, then you can contact your school secretary and have that email changed and then try the reset password again.
There you go. This is a long question, Maurice, so bear with me here. This person has tried to use the sign-on process to get their personal iPad Chromebook linked up to Google Classroom. is the only way possible to do this by going through DPS and have DPS be the domain. My concern with this is if I'm using my personal electronics, DPS will lock down other things I may use the computer for because it's not an approved app. You're muted.
Thank you. We don't lock down any computers. I'm aware what functionality he's referring to, but that's not something we do with those personal devices. Furthermore, in order to even do that, there's some type of enrollment or connection process that you have to sync those devices together. And that's a whole different process. So no, we won't take over any devices or delete any personal devices that are being used for remote learning. So that shouldn't be a concern. We do get the notification when you try and sign into your Google account from an unknown device. It does give us a notification that we need to approve that device just to access the data that's in that Google account. Security feature to make sure we try and keep our students' data safe.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next question is, can you explain more about what flex days are? Flex days are for our teachers. They have the option whether or not to be in the building or work from home remotely. And those flex days are on Mondays and Wednesdays. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, our teachers will be working in their classrooms to provide the virtual instruction. There's a follow-up to my Heartland Tech question. The person said they did contact the high school about Heartland and didn't get specific answers. So I wrote your name down, and as soon as this webinar is over, I will contact the MacArthur administration and make sure they get you the answers you need, because there should be clear communication about transportation availability and times for students to be out at Heartland. So I'll get a hold of them as soon as this webinar is over. This next one, my child attends Pershing and receives occupational therapy and speech services. How will these services be implemented in remote learning according to his IEP? Also, he's unable to engage virtually with staff. How will remote learning engage or implement his needs as he is not in an academic classroom? I'll take the first half of this, and Jeff, if you want to take the second half about engagement for pre-K. The first half of this, your child should have an IEP meeting to figure out how the IEP services will be met during remote learning. If you haven't had that IEP meeting yet, it should be scheduled very soon to make sure the proper services are provided to your student. And Jeff, you want to talk about virtual or what other types of engagement for pre-K?
Yeah, with pre-K engagement, I know Pershing is using teaching strategies that goes with their grant provided curriculum. So they're going to try to do the virtual, but they also will have hard copies for families that do not have access. And we're going to attempt to have a sign out process for parents if they want devices so their kids can engage virtually on a digital device. That will be new this school year. However, it'll be flexible between virtual for parents that want to sign out the devices, and for those that do not have access, they will have hard copies that they can pick up either, or we deliver and make sure that they return, and that's how the teachers will record the assignments.
Thank you, sir. Maurice, there's several in a row here that are tech related. This person's child is first year of kindergarten, and their iPad needs a number-only password to unlock it, and they have not received their student ID. How will they get their student ID for the new one, the new kiddos, those kindergartners?
If they have the iPad, that must mean they have a student ID, because we wouldn't be able to set it up without it. So based on the question, it seems like they have it. We would either need just the student's name, but the school should be able to help with that as well. Just doesn't sound like they were able to get a hold of anybody, but we just need to look up the student's name and provide that student ID so she can get into the device.
If that parent wants to private message the panel the name of that student, I can see if I can look that up for you and send it back to you in the chat.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Next question. My child's iPad is prompted for her for a Microsoft account to log into a virtual textbooks. Will we get this information from teachers, or is there another place we can find this information? That is not something I'm aware of, unfortunately. Students don't have a Microsoft account. Students have Google accounts. So I'm not sure what they refer to. I would say they have to reach back with the teacher in the school to get additional information about that account. Next question is, hello, what is the email address to the IT help on the iPad? I need to reset my daughter's Apple ID, Skyward password reset, and remove a student account off of her iPad. Please say the email address slow as I will write it down. If you're asking what email address you use to log in to the help desk for your student, it's their Google email address. I believe that's what you're referring to. But the Skyward Family Access part, that one is a different department to get that Skyward password reset and remove a student account off her iPad. I'm not clear on what they're referring to. We have Apple accounts, district managed Apple accounts on the iPad, and they have their Google account on there. I'm not sure of which account maybe you need to remove. This could be, you could have added a personal account, maybe a personal Apple ID. Those are things you can click the sign out button in settings if you want to sign out of an Apple ID, but we would need additional information on what specific account you're talking about to help. And again, I say you said it asked for the email address, but again, I think you're talking about your login. But if that didn't answer your question, please feel free to retype or let us know. All right, I think the next one's for someone.
Question, what happens if parents are not able to have student log in at the appropriate time? Mr. Dace, you want to take a shot at that and about engagement at the appropriate time?
It depends on the approach that the teachers are taking. Some teachers are using a flipped classroom model where they're posting videos first and the students can engage in that at any time. And then when they're on, they will go over the assignments with them. Some of them will give them a certain due date that when they turn it in, they will receive credit for it. However, some teachers will be on a set schedule. And if there's not loaded videos or anything, then the student could miss out on the instruction. So I think most of them will be on a set schedule. So, but it is fluent from school to school.
Next question, the students are in school every day except days that the school is closed, correct? That is correct. The teachers will be providing instruction. On Mondays, there should be some self-directed work that the teachers have provided the students to work on Monday, as the teachers will be working on planning for activities for the week, and also grading and providing feedback to students. The next one is, when will Seesaw login information be sent out?
That's not something that we send out. The Seesaw is, I believe, K1, if I'm not mistaken. They get that information, login information from their instructors, I believe, or the building level.
That is my understanding as well. My grandson somehow, this sounds like yours, Maurice. My grandson somehow master reset his iPad last year. Now it says this configuration for your iPad could not be downloaded from the district.
When you do a master reset, your iPad has went back to square zero. So it's something that we have to bring back to get set up. We do not want students resetting their doing a master reset. This may have happened before we disabled that feature. So that's something that has to be brought in for attention to get resolved.
Maurice, do
That's
they
what I-
still need to fill out a web help ticket in order to
Correct.
get that serviced?
Correct. We want you to submit a web help desk ticket prior to bringing it to the school, just so we can be aware. And if we get that information ahead of time, we can have a device prepared and maybe take it to the building to facilitate a one-time swap. So it's better to communicate with us ahead of time so that we can have an efficient process.
The next one, my kiddo attends Pershing and has an IEP. We were told we would be getting registration material in the mail, but did not receive it. How do we get him registered for school? Again, if you could send Maria in the private chat your name and information, we can make sure Pershing gets you that gets a hold of you and get you that registration material. Leslie, I think this next one is for you. Could you explain more about what innovation learning is, please?
Absolutely. So Innovation Learning, last year, the district partnered with Innovation Learning to provide before and after school childcare for DPS 61 students. When the district made the decision to start the year with virtual learning, Innovation Learning shifted its programming to accommodate the district employees and our students and provide full day programming. So Innovation Learning will be providing full day childcare for DPS students and staff out at the Children's Museum, Monday through Friday. Parents can drop their students off at 6 a.m. and have to be picked up by 5:30 p.m. They currently have a $5 registration rate going on right now, which ends on the 21st. So if this is something that you think that you may need, I would encourage you to go ahead and lock in on that $5 registration fee and get your student signed up to participate in the program.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maurice, their child is locked out of their iPad because they forgot their password. What can a parent do if their student forgot their password?
If it is that lock code to first enter the iPad and you don't know that, it's the student ID is the default, but it can be changed by the students if they like. So if they're not able to get in, that's again something we have to, so they have to submit a help desk ticket for us to reset that device. Entering in a passcode, incorrect passcode multiple times will disable the device for 1 minute, then 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and eventually it will lock the device down completely.
Hi, is this going to be online teachers where teachers teach via video conference, or teachers will just send assignments and kids will submit answers to them, or is it going to be both? I think as Mr. Day said earlier, he can add to my answer if he needs be. It's going, depending on the grade level, it'll be both. Teachers will be providing online live as well as assignments for them to complete and provide answers to. Next one, we don't have a teacher and there's no way that parents who work can be online all the time. Not, again, if you would send us your student's name to Maria, we'll find out what building. We'll hopefully be able to address that for you. So you know who your teacher is, if that is your question. All right, an Apple ID is a pop-up on our iPad that is asking for a password that needs to be reset because my daughter does not remember the Apple ID password.
The standard password for the Apple ID is the birthday, 2 digits for each value, 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, and 2 digits for the year. Again, this is a password that can be changed by the student, so that is only the default. If that doesn't work, you have to submit a help desk ticket and we can reset that remotely and set it back to the default again of the birthday so that you can get into that and into your Apple ID account.
Next question, does not providing a synchronous learning opportunities provide an equity issue? I think most teachers at some point will be doing some type of asynchronous learning opportunities throughout the week. If there is a concern about a specific approach or class, please contact your building principal and we'll see what we can do to address the concern. Are the children and staff going to have their temperatures checked prior to entering innovation learning? How is innovation learning going to help maintain social distancing or prevent groups from joining other groups within innovation learning? Leslie?
So one of the things that we're really excited about with Innovation Learning this year is that we partnered with the Children's Museum, which allows us to have a whole lot more space than what we've had at the schools. So we have a lot of space at the Children's Museum, and the children are set up to attend in pods. The ratio is 1 coordinator to every 12 students for each pod, and they're set up like in classrooms. And in answer to and the classrooms are set up to allow for social distancing. They are set up at their own space at a table. They are spaced adequately apart according to the COVID guidelines. And in answer to your question regarding temperatures, yes, there will be a check-in point at the entry of the Children's Museum. Well, there will be someone there taking students' temperatures as they arrive. The parent must be there. Once the student's temperature is okay, reads okay, and can go in, the student will be allowed to go in from the entryway to the coordinator, and then the parent will leave at that time. So the parents will not be allowed inside the building no further than the entryway. So yes, they will be taking temperatures daily in the morning when the students arrive.
The next question is an innovation learning question as well. Last Q&A, it was discussed about special education students being able to go. Is this still being discussed?
No, unfortunately, we are not able to accommodate our students that have special needs at this time. And again, it's due to a ratio issue. You have to, with special needs students, they require more like a one-on-one ratio, and innovation learning just does not have the resources to accommodate students in that population. We have been researching and doing some looking into other options that may accommodate our special needs students, but right now we have not landed on anything, have been successful on landing on anything right now. We do continue to kind of look into that situation, that possibility, and finding a place for our special needs students. So, but right now, unfortunately, Innovation Learning is not able to accept students with special needs at this time.
I'll take this one. For innovation learning, what happens when they have a positive test? Will it just be the pod that would be asked to leave, or everyone? What we would do in this type of situation is we are working closely with the Macon County Health Department, and they would guide us on how to handle each individual situation, because the fact set and criteria around each situation is so different. But we would immediately contact the health department and seek their guidance how to handle something at innovation learning like that. All right, the last iPad my grandson had, the VPN was not connected. How can you connect a VPN?
VPNs are not allowed on student iPads. That would be a violation of our acceptable use policy. So we take steps to disable those features. So I'm not sure if she meant the VPN connection. So I'm not exactly sure there. Maybe you meant Wi-Fi, but we don't allow VPN connections. So we take measures to prevent that.
We need the class code, school code, and what is ever needed in order to get into Google Classroom. There needs to be a date set for any parents to take their children's iPad and let the staff make sure they have all the information prepared. If that parent could, again, let Maria know what school, we'll link them with that school so they can help them with those issues.
Right. I'm not familiar with the school code to get into their class. I believe it's stuff that has to be set up behind the scenes for them to be in the correct classes. So yes, contacting your school will be the best route.
The next one, when school first starts, will my child have to be at the computer zoomed in right at 8 to have a video in-person attendance like a classroom? Or is it they just do their video homework? Again, it'll be a blend of both, but the expectation of our teachers is to be ready to teach via whatever mode they're using at 8 o'clock every day.
I think that's it for the questions that have been submitted. Oh, there comes another one. Never mind.
Okay, that's great. How long until we find out if classes will continue online after the first semester? Well, first of all, I'll clarify, we're only doing, we've only plan on doing virtual learning for the first quarter, which is through October 9th. And we will continue to meet and talk with our various stakeholders, monitor the data locally, regionally, statewide, and we hope to make a decision on the next quarter near the end of September, last couple of weeks of September, for what type of mode we'll use for the second quarter of the school year. Are there any other questions? Okay. Is there through any other mode that we can see?
I don't believe so. Oh, there's another one popping in.
Will parents be allowed to decide if they want to go in class or online when that time comes? I'm not sure what you mean to go in class or online. Either to meet your teacher and have a meeting?
I think she's referring to a hybrid model, possibly, of allowing parents to choose in-person or online instruction once the time comes.
We were discussing that when we were considering hybrid models about giving parent choice. We'll have more information about that as we look at the different modes we may use for second quarter. I joined late, so can you give me more details on the schedule we are seeing in our Skyward account? And also, have you all solidified times for meal deliveries? On meal deliveries, we have not solidified times. We just determined the number of people that will be getting meals delivered. And so they're working on routing that, and we'll hopefully have that information early next week. I'm not sure what they mean by schedule we are seeing in our Skyward account. Is anybody? If not, we'll need to make sure we get that in the FAQs.
I do know as a parent, you can sign into Skyward and see your student's schedule. It's just one of the options that you'll see once you get signed in. And if you're having any issues getting into Skyward, just contact your school and they will be able to assist you.
Maria, do we need to buy complete school supplies?
Well, we do know that there are a lot of back to school sales going on right now. So if you want to take advantage of that, it'd be a great opportunity to purchase school supplies for supplementing any needs that they may require while they are virtual learning, but also a good opportunity to take advantage of those sales if and when we are able to go back to in-person. Those items are optional at the moment, and but it's up to you as a parent if you want to go ahead and purchase those supplies for your students.
They want to know if these questions are going to be available to rewatch later.
So,
yes.
Oh.
Go ahead, Denise.
We are recording all of these Q&A sessions. They are available on our website at dps61.org/return to learn. I just popped it up there on the screen. All the Q&A sessions that we have hosted are in a video on that website, so you can rewatch all of them. I know we were having technical difficulties trying to get this live on Facebook, so we will post this on our Facebook page as well, and it's on our YouTube channel. So there's 3 different ways that you can go back and watch this session again to rehear any of the answers.
Is there a timeline set for when decisions will be made for quarter 2 and beyond? We are looking at the last couple weeks of September, but again, we're asking for your patience and flexibility because the data and information changes all the time. This parent has health issues and is afraid to allow their child to go in class since they'll be having surgery at the end of September. I would prefer to continue online learning. How would that work? Depending on what mode we decide to use in the second quarter, You would just need to work with your individual building and work out a plan that best works for you and your student. This person says their computer's freezing. They need help answering questions. How do they get help when their iPad is messing up? What's the best way to go about getting help when their iPad's messing up?
Well, we want to know those specifics about what it is. We can address each issue individually. So it's hard to speak without knowing what the issues were. But to get support, again, we have our help desk. We know we have quite a lot of tickets in there. It's our busiest time of the year, so we ask for patience, but we do get the help desk tickets. We will be working them in order that we receive them. So if you can provide that specific information of what challenges you're having with your device, we can address each one of those.
All right. Well, I thank everybody for their time. I'd like to thank our panelists for helping answer our parents' questions tonight. As we go through the year, we plan on having these periodically to keep parents informed about what's going on. Attendance be counted for parents who work. Well, here comes a bunch of other questions. How will attendance be counted for parents who work? Students will be able to engage with their teacher online, and that will be monitored to make sure that students are engaged for attendance. And we'll have staff reaching out and helping those students who are having trouble logging in or participating during the school day. Students who are in ESL will be on remote as well. Yes, but we have a plan to allow for them to get appointments when necessary to get the individual help. And more information will come about that later. For parents who work and can't help the kids, will DPS send something to the daycare they go to so they can help with virtual learning? My kids' daycare said they didn't receive anything about kids bringing devices to the center. I know this is all new, but for us working parents, it is overwhelming and stressing. I do not have any information about what we can do with the daycares. That we'll have to research that and get that answered on the FAQ page.
I believe it's up to each individual daycare. There are certain ones that are making plans for virtual learning to support that while students are in childcare during the day, but it would be up to the individual daycare to make those plans. I know the DISC is making plans, the Y, Boys and Girls Club, those are all options in addition to innovation learning that are allowing students to bring their devices and work on their schoolwork during the day while they are in childcare, but it would be up to the individual daycare to make those plans.
Right, so the question about they didn't receive anything about kids bringing devices to the center, we wouldn't communicate that. That would be up to the individual daycare. Evening hours, if you email teachers in the evening to leave questions, teachers will be getting back to the students or the parents via email. You can also call and leave a voicemail, and teachers will answer that as well. That other question went away about an iPad.
I answered it.
Okay.
Thanks, Maria.
You're welcome.
I think that's all of our questions, and we are just about out of time.
Thank you guys so much. Everybody have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
All right.